The concept originally behind Swan Song series is sort of like to throw myself a little retirement party, which is kind of a funny concept because I think the perception is that I had retired and now I'm sort of, it's like stepping out of the grave to announce that you have died.
Tanya Donelly in part 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Mouthcast.
I'm keeping you. 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 I'm keeping you.
Since that first solo album, you've become a mother twice over.
Yeah.
That life-changing experience can be heard through some of the lyrics on subsequent records, the songs
Right.
Keeping You and The Night You Saved My Life. But I guess that experience for you, a total realignment of priorities.
Yeah. That is such a fundamentally personal choice. I have plenty of female artist friends who do it very differently than I do. I am very focused on my children and really just want to hang out with them primarily. So yeah, I definitely I will say there's a lot of music going on in our house and they are both very musical. There are plenty of times where we're all playing music at different places in the house or together. It's not as if the music waits until they go to bed. That's never been the case. But in terms of actually getting it to where I'm recording it and I'm in the studio and it's, that definitely doesn't happen as much. But the writing happens at home and they're fully present for that most of the time. And commenting quite liberally, I will say too.
Are they aware of your history?
They're aware of it. I think Gracie, who's 14, is probably more, sort of starting to do the homework around it right now and is really starting to understand, my place and her aunt's place and my friend's place in what happened up to this point,
Yeah.
And
how does that feel for you?
It's fun. I have to say it makes me feel good when she comes to me with questions. It's exciting for her and for me to talk about it. The little one, she's very interested in the videos and stuff like that. She's very pissed off because she never got to tour, which the older one did. So
you may have an obligation there to...
I know, exactly. Yeah, there is a piece of that where she gets very demanding about it. Like, if you go to England again, I'm going this time.
You also work as a, let's see if I pronounce this correctly, doula?
Yes.
Which is to say you provide assistance to new mothers and anything and everything from pregnancy support to being a birthing companion to post-birth practical and emotional care.
Yeah.
I suppose here in the UK that would be akin to midwifery, the role of midwife.
Well, midwifery here is it's actually quite different. Midwives, that's a whole other level of expertise and training and professionalism. Midwives are in a completely different and much more elevated category. Not elevated, but more,
Medical?
I don't deliver babies. Basically, it's sort of more like a birth coach. And at this point, actually, I'm focusing almost entirely on the postpartum piece. And I work with a birth doula, so she does the birth stuff and I come in at the end of that. So my job kicks in after the birth, the transition back home, help with breastfeeding if that's the choice, and just sort of keeping an eye on them emotionally and just being there. A big piece of it is, at least here, I can't speak for the UK culturally, but what I've found here is that all the time this happens, I sit on a couch with a woman who's just feeling so alone and isolated and without help. And several times in the course of my visit, the phone will ring and I'll hear this women turn down help right in front of me. So a big piece of it here anyway is learning how to say, yes, help me. I need this, this, and this, Yeah. Bring me food and leave it on my doorstep. Just, breaking down that mythology of being able to handle everything alone.
Yeah.
So that is such a huge piece of it, is deconstructing that architecture of that. That's a whole other subject as to how that architecture came to be.
What took you to the point of making the decision to do that, making that change in your life?
I think it's because I was very much one of those, I'm going to do everything, hyper controlling everything, micromanaging every second, really shutting people out who were trying to help. And I had a lot of postpartum anxiety. Mine didn't go to depression. Mine was just full on live wire buzzing anxiety. And rather than say, okay, I need somebody to help support me in this, I just circled my wagons. So I think once I came out of that the second time and recognized that that was a pattern that I could see happening around me with other women, then I decided that I would just like to somehow assuage that for somebody else a bit.
It's a remarkable thing to do.
Thank you so much for saying that.
It's incredibly rewarding role, I would imagine.
It is usually, yeah. Sometimes it's very difficult, but most of the time it's extremely rewarding. And it's really, to leave a house where you've had some impact in that area just feels amazing, And in some ways, people say, oh, that's so selfless. What a wonderful thing to offer. But it really shores me up too. I leave feeling just wonderful. It's a two-way street.
What took you to the point of thinking now is the right time to put out the Swan Song series?
It started with doing the Cabinet of Wonders sort of traveling road show that my friends Wesley Stace and Eugene Merman do. They invite writers and musicians and comedians and performance artists, and it really is just such a fun night. And so they brought me on board for a few of those. And over the course of those nights, I just sort of started, it started with Wes and Rick Moody, just sort of, let's do something together, which everybody says all the time, let's write something together. But I actually started following up and saying, remember when we talked about writing a song together? And so that was sort of the start of it. And initially I had no plan for it, not at all. But as it started to grow, I started reaching out more and then wanting to release it in a more official way. So that was sort of a real homegrown thing that just developed on its own, sort of.
I guess as an artist, all of the collaborations are really invigorating, bringing a freshness all the way through.
Yeah, it's really fun. I just look forward to it, Every collaboration I look forward to working on it. It's exciting. And, it's mainly just reaching out to people I've worked with in the past. The authors are the kind of more new ingredient. But otherwise, I'm just I want to sort of end it where it began in a way, So I'm kind of reaching out to my old collaborators for the most part.
The lyrics to Meteor Shower, you mentioned Rick Moody there, author of The Ice Storm. I wondered whether you'd directed him to write about a specific thing or whether they were presented as a fait accompli.
No, that song, I actually did write some of the lyrics for that one too. We collaborated on the lyrics. He sent me sheets and sheets of lyrics, and I took that sheet, and then there were a couple lines from another one that I used in Meteor, and then I wrote some of them as well and sort of pulled it all together, but they're primarily his.
When you sing someone else's words in this project, another collaborator's words, does that remove you from a certain kind of emotional attachment?
There are a couple coming up that feel more like that. I think because I'm sorting through what people send me and choosing the words that I know are going to work coming out of my mouth. I take a little bit of ownership of it in that way, because as I'm singing along and making the patchwork of them, I'm leaving out the things that are completely foreign, that just sound ridiculous coming from me or feel very awkward to me. So in that way, it doesn't feel like a cover. But yeah, there are definitely, but that's exciting. I love that though. I love singing somebody else's words and sort of feeling, it's like anybody singing along to something. You know what I mean? Like when you are singing along to a song that you love, you're taking ownership of that in a way, or at least you're absorbing it into you. And I think that's how I feel about it when I'm singing someone else's words for this project too.
It was such a good night. Everybody agrees. Drive our handsome cars through the humid dark to the airstrip and the beach. Bring it up along the shore. The low tide tastes so sour, and the rocks around the campfire are waiting for the hour of the meteor shower.
Meteor shower resonated with me so strongly. It's such a New England beach song, nighttime cold beach song. That's so many of my teen nights spent with my friends or alone, lying in the sand or lying on a rock looking up, and very aware of sky events. There's going to be a comet, there's going to be a meteor shower, the moon is going to be full. I think living in a very small seaside town, you spend a lot of time outside, for one thing. And the sky awareness is something that I never really realized we had and that other people didn't. It was just something I think I did take for granted, that we were all very aware of what was going to be happening up there. And I think it's because we spent so much time outside on the beach at night. So he clearly also did. So when he sent me, he's from Connecticut and spent a lot of time on Fisher's Island, which is this very tiny island with nothing but a few houses on it. And so he spent a lot of time doing that as a young person and adult as well. So that one really, I don't feel removed. Oddly enough, I feel more connected to that song than some of them that I've written on my own.
In your Meteor Shower notes for the EP, you describe the act of looking up in this age of people looking down into their electronic devices as a real spiritual recalibrator.
Yeah. And that's what I mean when I wrote Are We Looking Up? It's not just are we looking up at the sky, are we looking up at all? Are we looking into each other's faces? Are we looking around us at all? And I'm equally guilty. I have to say, I'm staring at my device more than I would like to be my own self. So it's more just addressing that. And, just taking my own children out of the city and out to the ocean or out to the country or something. It's this bittersweet thing when they look up at the sky and they're awed by it, because it's such a novelty to them. They're just blown away by the fact that there are stars that you can actually see. And it's very sweet to see, and it also sort of breaks my heart.
Moon River, wider than a mile. I'm crossing you in style someday. How can you miss someone as dumb as this? It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone. I wanna live, I wanna give. I've been a miner for a heart of gold. Learn to love me and assemble the waves. tomorrow and always trust in you. Trust in you. Shut your eyes and trust in you.
Over the years, you've recorded some really interesting cover versions. I can't think of any other artist who wouldn't bat an eyelid at covering something from the Jungle Book, something by Tom Jones, something by the Smiths, and something by Neil Young.
Yeah, I just actually put up a post on Facebook because some of the bonus tracks, I'd like to do some covers. So I sort of put out this please advise posting on Facebook, and I got so many amazing ideas. Now I have a surplus of incredible ideas. And, things that I hadn't thought to do, but from people that I love, like Mary Margaret O'Hara, who, her Miss America is probably my favorite album of all time. Things that I wouldn't have really occurred to me. So I'm kind of psyched about sifting through that. And also it gave me a ton of homework to do. I'm so out of the loop, I haven't heard of a lot of it. So
you're a big fan of Leonard Cohen. Funnily enough, his song The Future shuffled on my iPod right before this call.
Oh, I love that. One of the suggestions was The Law, the Leonard Cohen song. I love that song. So I think I might do that one.
Is it in the lyrics for you or the mood? What do you get out of his music?
I think he's just a perfect marriage of mood and words. Lyrically with him, though, I think he's just the best. His lyricism raises the bar for everybody.
Yeah.
He's the best.
On a similar theme, what do you hope people get out of your music?
How can I put this? If I am writing with someone in mind, it's quite specific.
Yeah.
But once the song is written, then I do start to definitely hope that it means something to someone outside of myself, of course, because then it would just be sort of a scatological exercise. I think that my material is quite universal. I mean, I think that the things that come out of me, many people can easily plug into. At least I hope that's the case.
I think it's fascinating the way that you're releasing them, actually. You didn't announce that there's an album coming. There's no huge campaign. I imagine you've got loads of material. So do you think it's something that could go on, not forever, but indefinitely?
I think it'll probably go for 5 volumes into 2014, and then I don't know beyond that. It's very, very uncapped. It might just turn into a trickle. But I think I might just sort of continue to guest on things after that. We'll see.
Finally, Tanya, the second and third volumes out over the next couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
One last tour, just so you can bring your daughter to the UK for it.
But, yeah, exactly. Well, there's something that might be in the works that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. But yes, I'm pretty sure that I'll be over there again within the year. I'm just waiting on something.
Well, thanks very much for your time today.
Thank you. That was great. Thanks so much.
Good luck with your work as a doula and your family life.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you so much.
Let fall the sky. Let fall the stars, those noisy lights. Long's your mind. Let fall the sky. Let's pick up our pieces and bring down the night. And as long as you're mine, let fall the sky.